Welcome back to my Mental Health and Crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is the case of the Idaho 4. I'd like to start by wishing everyone in the United States of America, all the Americans, all my lovely subscribers, a happy 4th of July. May God bless you all. I know that we are actually done with this case since Koberger pleaded guilty. But I personally need some answers, and so do my subscribers. In my last clip, I came across something important, in my opinion. In the interview of the Chapin family, we clearly heard Maisey Chapin, Ethan, his sister, triplet, saying that Ethan called her lost. She did not say what time, but she said he called her that night and he said, "Dog, come and chill with us. We want you here. We miss you." And he said, "I love you," and I guess I must have fallen asleep by then. So she wanted to sleep. So if Ethan was saying we're chilling, why don't you come over and chill with us? That means that he was chilling with Zana, most likely, and other people. I wonder if Hunter, Johnson, and Emily, and Jody, and DM, and BF were chilling with them. The people who called 911. It was always Ethan and Zana's timeline that was under the microscope. They were supposed to be at the Sigma Chi fraternity party. Well, obviously the Sigma Chi or Sigma Chi fraternity boys lied and said that they were only there 2 hours. And then later on, they corrected their lies by saying they were there a bit longer. Nobody took a picture with Ethan and Zana, allegedly, and Ethan and Zana used to take a lot of pictures together. So my question is, was Ethan and Zana chilling at home and somebody attacked them? The reason I say that is it's not only Maisey Chapin who confirmed that. In the beginning of this case, we know that Zana's father, Jeffrey Canodal, said that he called his daughter at midnight, Zana, and Zana said she was chilling at home. So what happened? If they were chilling at home, did they actually go to the party at the Sigma Chi? And were they attacked on the way back? Or were they chilling at home when they were attacked? It sounds like Maisey wasn't even at the Sigma Chi fraternity party because she said she wanted to sleep. Immediately when I heard that interview, my mind went over to this interview, which I was analyzing 12 days ago. Tracy Walder is an ex-former CIA agent, and she's a former FBI agent. She's one of my favorite former agents to listen to. And I love what she said because that's exactly what I used to think. She believed that not everyone was sleeping, that the fight must have started in the kitchen or somewhere else.
Thank you for being here.
It's good to see you again, Natasha.
Thank you. And Tracy, what do you make of investigators being back on the scene now, collecting more evidence? And also, how much of a red flag in your mind is it that the lock was replaced the week before? Where is your mind when was it information?
Yeah, I was was really surprised actually to hear that, somewhat late on a weekend evening, that it looks like local law enforcement, just by seeing their badges, is who went inside. It looks to me like it's some kind of evidence recovery that they were doing. If they were turning lights on and off, I haven't seen the footage, but if that's what they were doing, they were most likely looking for bodily fluids of some sort. And if they were taking it out in paper bags, that's usually what we use when dealing with biodegradable kinds of fluids. That's how we transport evidence of that nature. I'm surprised that 3 weeks into the investigation, they're still collecting biological evidence. Typically, that's something that's collected rather early on. So that's surprising to me, although it could be the result of another lead, which is a really good thing.
Now, this is a person with a lot of experience. The best kind of experience. CIA and FBI former agent. She found it strange that they were still taking bio evidence like blood fluids out of the house. This is something that is done much earlier on at the crime scene. The first day, I would assume. Let's not forget the FBI was called into this case on the 17th of November 2022. That's 5 days later. So how was the crime scene actually handled?
I've seen that. I think folks have probably taken with a long lens into this house. There seems to be evidence taped up on the inside of the kitchen window. So what that indicates to me is that perhaps there is blood spatter. There is some kind of biological evidence there that they did use evidence tape to mark. And so that is an indicator to me that perhaps not all of these victims were killed in their bedroom. We know that Maddie and Kaylee were killed in their beds together, unfortunately, but we don't know for sure about Xana and Ethan. So that indicates to me that perhaps there was some violence that occurred outside of the bedroom.
That is very interesting. Tracy Waldo believes that something could have happened downstairs, or the fight could have started from the downstairs. Maddie and Kaylee were in the same bed, sleeping allegedly. But the question is, was Maddie and Kaylee found on the bed? If you look closely, you'll see fingerprints inside the window, not outside, like Tracy Waldo just said. I wonder if the fight started actually from the kitchen and then led up to the living room and bedrooms. Now that Maisey has showed us that Ethan was chilling, that makes sense with what Xana's father said, that Xana was chilling. So they both were chilling at home. And let's not forget what Ethan's mother said in her first interview. 2 a.m. is the hardest time for us. What happened at 2 a.m.? Because the grub truck rowdy crowd is yelling Xana, Xana and Ethan's name between 2 to 2:10. Was that when they were unalived? That's why I always said I believe it was 2 separate incidents. Ethan and Xana were taken out first. May they rest in peace, in my opinion. I always believed they were chilling in the living room. Or maybe one of them was in the kitchen when this happened. But you can see the fingerprints from the inside. So there should have been body fluids. What happened to the 3 male unidentified mixed DNAs under Maddie's nails. I don't believe per se that Maddie was completely awake when this happened. Looking at the grub truck and number 9 allegedly putting something in Maddie's mouth tells me that he was trying to maybe numb her. Make her numb or sedate her. I don't know what was going on. Could someone have been hiding inside the house and waiting for all of them to come home? And while they were chilling in the living room, somebody could have been hiding in the spare room. Just a thought. Or did the people come in from the first floor? Because the door was left wide open. And let's not forget, many of the students have the codes to the main key padlock. Or did they come in through the sliding door? I still believe that something is wrong for Koberger to be taking a plea deal. The mainstream news channels are running around with he was so numb, empathy-less. They were saying he didn't show any emotions. Why don't they start by analyzing Hunter, Johnson, and Emily, who showed zero empathy? They were too busy telling us not to call them the Idaho 4. We do care about these 4 victims. That's why we've been fighting so hard to get the correct justice. I always call them usually by the names, but sometimes it's easier with the title Idaho 4. Yes, there were 4 victims. They all had beautiful names. Ethan Chapin, may he rest in peace. Kaylee Gongalves, may she rest in peace. Zana Kanoodle, may she rest in peace. And Madison Morgan, may she rest in peace. But they were unalive together. That's the reason we call them the Idaho 4. Or Hunter Johnson, do you want us to call them the Idaho 7? Because let's not forget Hannah Clay, may she rest in peace. Let's not forget Hudson Lindo, may he rest in peace. And let's not forget Caden Young. Caden Young is a very interesting case. The young man who was OD'd by Emma Bailey and Demetrius Robinson. The reason I find that to be interesting is I told you all, Caden Young was the president of the newspaper office or team in Idaho Moscow University. He was unalived 4 months after the Idaho 4, and he was from Alpha Kappa Lambda. He was their president before Nick Green, Scott Green, his son, became the president. I find that to be interesting. Was Caden Young going to talk? Did he find something out? He used to fight for human rights and for justice. Did they delete him because they found out something? Isn't that fingerprints on the window? And it's from the inside, because the tape is from the inside, like Tracy Walder said.
Law enforcement, but just in looking at some of the pictures that I've seen that I think folks have probably taken with a long lens into this house, there seems to be evidence taped up on the inside of the kitchen window. So what that indicates to me is that perhaps there is blood spatter, there is some kind of biological evidence there, that they did use evidence tape to mark. And so that is an indicator to me that perhaps not all of these victims were killed in their bedroom. We know that Maddie and Kaylee were killed in their beds together, unfortunately, but we don't know for sure about Xana and Ethan. So that indicates to me that perhaps there was some violence that occurred outside of the bedroom.
I wonder who was chilling with Xana and Ethan when they're asking Maisey, when they were texting Maisey Chapin to come over. Who was chilling with them? Zana's father wouldn't lie when he said Zana called him at midnight. She said she was chilling at home. And now we have Maisey saying that Ethan was chilling and he wanted her to come down because they missed her. They wanted her to chill with them. What happened to the blood that was found on this railing? There were many, at least 3 unidentified male DNAs. They told us that from the very beginning. And then later on we heard 3 mixed male unidentified DNAs under Maddie's nails. Did it take 3 people to fight poor Maddie? May she rest in peace. She was so petite. May she rest in peace. This is horrible. And BF would have heard everything. This is her railing. The railing that goes from the living room down to the front door. The front door was left wide open. I always have the Banfield boys on my mind when it comes to Ethan and Zana. And Zana was chilling at Alpha Kappa Lambda. I don't mean that night, but I showed you pictures of Zana at the Alpha Kappa Lambda frat. I believe there was 2 frats that were involved. Alpha Kappa Lambda, that's where Caden Young came from. May he rest in peace. Could it be possible that Caden was talking and they silenced him? Allegedly.
Best friends of Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle speaking out about that November day when they discovered Ethan, Xana, Kaylee Gonzalez, and Madison Mogan brutally murdered in an off-campus home.
I don't think anyone expects anything like that ever in their life to happen.
Hunter Johnson and his girlfriend Emily Allant now telling their story in a new Prime Video docu-series, One Night in Idaho, The College Murders.
We were a big group of friends. Why would you target those 4?
Emily says she and Xana were inseparable.
We were attached at the hip probably the first day that we met. Yeah, we just clicked immediately. We were same personalities, I feel like.
I love it when people talk about Ethan and Xana sort of being like male and female versions of each other.
Oh, it's very much true. They were the same person.
Hunter and Emily say the fall weekend started like any other, with a big football game. The friends snapping this photo that Saturday.
It was a normal weekend for us. We're just hanging out with our friends.
The next morning, Emily says Dylan, one of the surviving roommates, called her concerned, asking her and Hunter to come over.
In the documentary, you tell the story of really not feeling alarmed when Dylan called you.
I joked around with her on the phone. You know, it's something you would never expect.
Emily said that she and DM were joking on the phone. She didn't expect something like this to happen. But then again, DM could have heard everything. She did hear everything. She said she heard Xana whimpering. She heard a man saying, "I'm here to help." She heard Kaylee playing with her dog, saying, "I think somebody's here." But yet again, DM called Emily and Hunter, and they were joking. Right up to they came to the house, and Hunter found it necessary to take a knife from the kitchen up with him. Hunter's trying to tell us he didn't notice Ethan, who's 6'4", lying on the doorway of Xana. This is all far-fetched, in my opinion.
I would say as soon as you get there, you know something's wrong.
Hunter was the first person to arrive to King Road to discover what happened. Their friend Josie Louderin, who was also there, describing the moments in the docuseries.
As soon as I stepped in the house, I was like, oh, something is so not right. Like, you could feel it almost.
Jody and Hunter said as soon as they reached the house, they knew something was wrong. What was it? Didn't the smell get you? Very strange that you are not talking about the smell. What made you think something was wrong? Jody, because Emily was joking with DM, and DM didn't tell her that she saw a man with a black ski mask with bushy eyebrows. Why don't I see empathy, emotions, tears rolling down, at least one tear rolling down the eyes? Strange. Let's not forget, the door was left wide open. That's the reason I believe it was the fraternities. Didn't 4chan say DM heard rummaging upstairs and she thought it was the Sigma Chi fraternity boys? I personally believe that all this is a cover-up. It has to be, for me. I'm not saying that the police are covering up anything. I'm saying that the students, the suspects, gave wrong information, wrong timelines, and the police went along with it. If they don't, the whole university gets a bad reputation that 3 or 4 of their own frat members unalive their students, allegedly.
Triplet with his siblings Hunter and Maisey, all attending the University of Idaho together. Hunter and Maisey and their parents, Jim and Stacy, now telling their story in a new Prime Video docuseries, One Night in Idaho, The College Murders, remembering their 6'4", larger-than-life brother and son.
We played every sport together. Every time we went in the car, it was together. Partied together. There was never a dull moment.
Pay attention. Hunter Chapin said, we partied together, we chilled together, we used to do everything together. And they were both from Sigma Chi fraternity. So Hunter Chapin, were you chilling with your brother that night? Was Hunter Johnson there allegedly? Maisey said she was sleeping. Where was Jody? Where was Emily Aunt? Where were all of the friends you'll chill with?
Cherishes the text he sent her before bed.
So he started off by texting me. I think he said, "Dog, come hang out. We all want you here." And I said, "I'm going to bed." And then he said, "Love you." And I didn't even respond to that. I think I was asleep by then.
And the I love you kind of stood out though.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Hunting Mackay with Ethan says the next morning, a friend at the fraternity woke him up saying the police were at Xana's house.
Hunter Johnson came up to me and said, I was like, where's Ethan and Xana? And he's like, they're not here anymore. It's like, what do you mean they're not here anymore? He's like, I think they were murdered last night.
Hunter was forced to call his family with the news, his parents in disbelief.
Poor Hunter Chapin, my heart goes out to him. Imagine having to call your mother and father and say the son is unalived. I can imagine how the triplets feel. Hunter Johnson had no mercy. He went to the Sigma Chi and blasted the news at Hunter Johnson. Why didn't he wait for a psychologist or school counselor or someone to be present? Unless Hunter Chapin and Maisey Chapin knew about it early. The reason I've done the previous clip and this clip, this is the part 2, is because I always wanted to know the truth about Xana and Ethan's timeline. And now we're really getting close to it, thanks to Maisey. I don't think she was supposed to say that because Hunter just looked at his sister in a shocking way, like, don't talk about it. So the final text Ethan sent his sister was that night. He said, come chill with us. What happened to the victims' phones? What happened to Ethan's phone, Maddie's phone, Xana's phone, and especially Kaylee's phone? Because somebody logged out of her LinkedIn account. They must have had her passwords. Could be the surviving roommates, allegedly. Could be Jack D, allegedly. Someone close to Kaylee knew her passwords. And another more important thing is the last picture the surviving roommates took together with the 4 victims, Kaylee wrote, "One lucky girl to be among such beautiful people every day." And I don't think she uploaded it. It was uploaded on the 13th. Kaylee would have uploaded it on the 12th when she took it. Somebody had access to Kaylee's phone. Please like, share, and subscribe. May the 4 victims rest in peace. And I hope we find out more on the 23rd of July. Have a lovely 4th of July, people. Love you all, my subscribers. Think we all need to try and detox this case out of our system. But you know me. I love asking questions and I need the answers. We have worked hard on this case from the very beginning. And we need a proper closure. Koberger could be threatened to take the plea deal. Something changed in a matter of time, especially after the judge refused the 4 alternative suspects. I wonder why. Or is it because all these books and all these documentaries are coming out that they must have given Koberger the plea deal? He wasn't forced to take the plea deal. I know he admitted to what he did allegedly, but there's something not right. And the mainstream news channel is more focused on how he looks, saying that he has no empathy. How would they know? That is how Koberger always looked. They should know that. Look at his pictures when he was young too. When he was a kid. He's always got that stare in his eyes. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a lovely weekend.